wasn't supposed to be alone. But after the surgery, my parents insisted I recover at their place while they went to my aunt's for the week. "You'll be fine, sweetheart. Just rest, drink fluids, don't mess with the stitches." Fine. I was 21. Not helpless. The house was quiet. Too quiet. One of those pristine, overpriced homes with more empty rooms than furniture. I couldn't go upstairs. Not with my knee stitched up like a stuffed animal. So I stayed on the couch. Pillows under my leg. Percocet haze. Netflix humming. All good. Until night 3. That's when I heard it. A sound coming from inside the walls. It wasn't mice. Or pipes. Not that hollow clattering you expect. No. This was breathing. Wet. Mucus thick. Like a mouth clogged with spit sucking in air through gurgling nostrils. Slow. Heavy. Measured. I muted the TV. Sat up. It stopped. I waited. 15 minutes. Nothing. I turned the volume back on. Chalked it up to meds. But that night, I dreamed of something crawling. Fingernails dragging across wood. Eyes blinking in total blackness. A jaw that didn't hinge properly. When I woke up, my knee burned like fire. And the heating vent was open. The next day was worse. The medicine made me groggy. I fell asleep with the TV on, and when I woke up around noon, the pillows under my leg had been moved. Not fallen. Not slipped. Arranged differently. Tighter around the knee. Tucked in. Almost careful. I thought maybe I'd done it while half asleep. But then I noticed the glass of water beside me. Half full. Still cold. I hadn't filled it. I hadn't even stood up. I told myself it was just foggy memory. But when I looked at the vent again, something was different. The dust around the edges was gone. That evening I crawled to the hallway closet where the Crawlspace hatch was. I shouldn't have. I should have let it go. Called someone. Asked for help. Instead, I opened it. The smell hit me instantly, like fermented rot. Not just mildew. Not wood. This was human. Sweat. Old blood. Teeth left in milk too long. I turned on the flashlight app on my phone. There was a path, cleared through the insulation, like someone had burrowed through it, and along the wood beams, candy wrappers, rotten blankets, used tissues, hair, and then, photos, of me, dozens of them, sleeping, eating, changing, all printed on cheap curled photo paper, some blurry, some crystal clear, all taken from inside the house. I dropped the phone and backed out so fast I ripped half my stitches. Crawled backwards like a spider, crying. Slammed the closet. Locked it. Stuffed a chair under the knob. Called 911. No signal. No fucking bars. Zero. Just searching. I tried the front door. Deadbolt. I hadn't locked it. I hadn't even touched it since morning. Tried the back door. Same. My heart was hammering, like it was trying to break a rib and crawl out. I was shaking. Woozy from the meds. The pain in my leg now white hot and pulsing. Then I heard it. The breathing. Right behind the drywall. That night I didn't sleep. I laid there with the lights on. Kitchen knife under the blanket. My ears straining for sound. Every creak. Every tick of the heater. At 3:12 a.m., the TV turned on by itself. Static. Then a voice. Low. Male. Slurred like a drunk gargling marbles. I like the white socks. I screamed. The TV shut off. I didn't move until the sun came up. By morning, the chair was no longer against the closet. It was neatly placed back by the dining table, as if I'd never moved it at all. And the crawlspace? Still closed, except a single fingerprint in the dust on the hatch door. Pressed hard, too wide to be mine. I finally managed to hobble to the neighbor's house across the street. No one answered. Another house, same. Everyone gone. On vacation. I was alone on the whole damn block. I called the police. This time it rang. They came. 2 officers. Polite. Skeptical. They checked the crawlspace. And found nothing. No photos. No blankets. No wrappers. No smell. The hatch was clean. The insulation untouched. They said I was exhausted. On painkillers. Told me to rest. They left. I sat there. Feeling insane. Questioning everything. Until I looked under the couch. And found a sock. Folded. Clean. Not mine. Child-sized. Labeled in Sharpie. Michael. That night I boarded up the vents. Every single one. Hammered them shut with kitchen knives, picture frames, whatever I had. Didn't sleep. Didn't blink. until 4:47 a.m., when I heard it again. Not breathing this time. A whisper. "Don't worry. I'm still here." I was too broke to be picky. The apartment was shit. A crumbling block of concrete wedged between two boarded-up vape shops. There were cigarette burns on the carpet, mold under the sink. The wallpaper peeled like old sunburn. But it was cheap, and I was desperate. The landlord was a fat old guy named Dennis who smelled like mustard and regret. He jingled the keys at me and said, "It's all yours. One rule." I raised an eyebrow. He pointed at the corner of the kitchen, where a huge, dented chest freezer sat against the wall. "Don't open that." I waited. No explanation. No details. Just that flat stare and a tobacco cough. He handed me the keys and waddled off down the stairs, mumbling something about "mind your own business." I should have left that day, but the rent was dirt cheap. And at the time, I figured whatever's in there is his weird stash of porn or drugs. Who cares? I moved in. The first night I heard it. I was microwaving off-brand noodles when something banged inside the freezer. Loud, like a body hitting metal from the inside. I froze, stared at it, waited. Then came the moan. Low, gurgling, like someone drowning in hot glue. It lasted maybe 6 seconds. Then silence. I didn't sleep. Day 2, the smell started. Not strong at first. Just wrong. Like bleach and sour meat. Like something that used to be alive but had been pissed on and buried in the sun. I tried to air the place out. Opened windows. Sprayed body spray. Nothing helped. The stench just hung there. Thick. Greasy. When I woke up, the freezer was covered in condensation. Little wet fingerprints smeared across the lid. Child-sized. That night I heard chewing. Not like chips. Not crunchy. Wet chewing. Gummy. Teeth grinding soft tissue. I thought it was in my walls. But when I leaned close to the freezer, it got louder. I pressed my ear to the metal. Something inside was muttering. Like prayers. Or numbers. I couldn't make out the words. Just the sound of a dry mouth trying to speak. I vomited in the sink. And that's when I noticed the photo. It was tucked behind a magnet on the fridge I hadn't touched. An old, curled Polaroid. Me. Sleeping. In this apartment. Same blanket. Same couch. Same torn t-shirt. The photo had a date scribbled on it. A week before I moved in. I dropped it. There were more. Taped under the table. Slid inside the cupboard. One behind the mirror. All of me. Sleeping. By night 4, I was losing it. The lights flickered constantly. I saw things in the corners. Shadows that twitched when I blinked. I tried to call the landlord. Phone went straight to voicemail. I went to his office. A rusty trailer on the edge of the lot. Empty. Door wide open. Furniture gone. No sign of Dennis. I asked around. The neighbor in 3B stared at me with red eyes and said, "There's no landlord here." Not anymore. Then shut the door. That night I broke. I got drunk. Grabbed a hammer. Staggered into the kitchen and slammed it into the freezer lock until it cracked off like rotted plastic. The lid creaked open. And the smell hit me like a fucking train. It wasn't just rot. It was sick. Biological. Like pus. Like meat that screamed when it died. I gagged. Covered my mouth. And looked inside. It wasn't full of food. It was full of flesh. Not human. Not animal. Somewhere in between. Limbs fused wrong. Skin like boiled leather. A face that twitched under folds of scar tissue. Sockets where eyes had once been. Now stitched shut with fishing wire. It writhed. It breathed. And it turned its ruined head toward me. Mouth hanging open like a torn envelope. And then it spoke. "Thank you." Its voice was wet. Ragged. Like air forced through a slit throat. It reached toward me with something that looked like a hand, but ended in a split. A claw. A hoof. I stumbled back. Fell. The lid slammed shut. And the lock clicked back in place. On its own. I ran. Out the door. Down the stairs. Into the street barefoot and screaming. No one came out. Not a single light turned on. Just silence. When I came back the next day, the freezer was gone. The apartment spotless. No smell. No Polaroids. No stains. Even the hole in the wall I'd punched was patched. Like nothing ever happened. But I still hear it. In my sleep. The voice. Softer now. Closer. And sometimes, when I open my fridge at night, There's condensation on the milk, and fingerprints in the butter. I never saw her. That was the first red flag. But back then, it just felt like luck. I just moved to the city for art school. Broke. Desperate. Looking for a room that wouldn't kill my savings before midterms. The ad said, shared flat, $300 per month. Quiet roommate. No pets. No guests. No drama. Too good to be true. But I emailed anyway. The reply came fast. All lowercase. No name. Come anytime after 6. Door'll be open. Room is on the left. Yours if you want it. I went. The place smelled like lemon bleach and old books. My room was small. Clean. Minimal furniture. The other bedroom door was closed. On it, taped loosely, was a note. Don't knock. Fine by me. I unpacked. Put up my blackout curtains. Started classes the next week. Every morning when I woke up, I heard the front door open. Then click shut. Sometimes I'd see a pair of scuffed white sneakers by the mat. But never her. No greetings. No noise. Not even music. I figured she worked nights. Maybe a nurse. Or antisocial. Again, not my problem. Until things started changing. It was small stuff at first. A spoon left on the counter, one I'd definitely washed. My towels damp when I hadn't showered. My shampoo replaced with a different brand that burned my scalp. One night I came home and my bed was made. Pillows fluffed. Blanket tucked under with sharp corners. I never made my bed like that. I asked around campus if someone had roommates like this. Everyone laughed. Told me I had a ghost. I laughed too. Said I didn't care as long as she paid rent. But the thing is, she didn't. I checked the lease. My name was the only one on it. The landlord, some faceless agency, only emailed automated receipts. No phone number. No signature. No office address. The electricity bill came in my name. There were no records of another tenant. But her door stayed shut. And sometimes when I walked past it, I heard whispers. Not words. Just movement. Like someone dragging a finger along the wall. Week 3, things got weirder. My paintings, I'm a studio arts major, were being altered. Not much. Just tiny things. One day, the shadows were darker than I remembered. Another, a girl's eyes were open instead of shut. At first, I thought I was losing it, mixing up canvases. But then I started photographing them before I left. And when I compared the shots the next day, the brushstrokes were different. Someone was painting over my work. Then I found the eyelash. Not mine. Longer. Curled. Glossed. Glued to my cheek when I woke up. There were more. On my pillow. In the sink. In my cereal bowl. One night I checked the fridge. My yogurt was open. Inside it was a single hair. Long pale. Still wet. I snapped. I bought a camera. One of those cheap nanny cams shaped like a USB charger. Plugged it into the living room wall. Aimed at her door. That night I stayed awake. Pretended to sleep on the couch. 2:14 a.m. Her door opened. Slow. Careful. No creak. Out stepped a figure. Barefoot. Hair stringy. Wearing my clothes. Not just a shirt. My entire outfit from yesterday. She tiptoed into the kitchen. Opened the fridge. Took a bite out of a stick of butter. Then she walked to my room. Slipped inside. I waited. She came out 10 minutes later. Holding my toothbrush in her mouth like a lollipop. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. She turned toward the camera. And smiled. Like she knew. Then she walked backwards into her room. Door shut. I checked the footage. Saved it to 3 flash drives. I wanted to leave. But I had nowhere to go. Not enough money for a hotel. No family nearby. So I stayed. One more night. I pushed my dresser in front of my door. Slept with a screwdriver in one hand. At 3 a.m., I woke up to scratching. Not at the door. Inside the fucking wall. I pushed my ear against the drywall. There was something in there. Moving. Breathing. Whispering. I got up. Pulled my dresser away. Opened the door. Her room was silent. I walked in. It was empty. No bed. No dresser. No clothes. No light bulbs. Just a mattress on the floor. Covered in Polaroids. All of me. Sleeping. Painting. Crying. Talking on the phone. All taken from behind a wall. I looked around the room again. And found it. Behind the closet. A loose panel. I pried it off. A hole in the wall. just big enough to crawl through. Inside, food wrappers, bottles, bones, a used tampon, and drawings. Of me, but not how I look now. Of me skinned. Of me smiling with no eyes. Of me holding a knife and eating someone's tongue. In the corner, scribbled in marker. I want your shape. I want to wear you better. You don't deserve your body. I'll fit inside you. I'll fit. I ran. Left everything. Called the cops. They searched the building. Tore down walls. Found tunnels. Connecting my apartment to the next. To the roof. To the fucking basement. But no woman. No fingerprints. No trace. Just the drawings. And one Polaroid taped to the underside of my bed. Me. Sleeping. With a shadow behind me. Holding a knife. Wearing my face. That was 6 months ago. I don't paint anymore. I can't be alone. Because when I look into mirrors now, sometimes I blink too slowly. Sometimes I smile before I mean to. Sometimes I feel something inside me that isn't me. Trying to fit. Trying to stretch. Waiting.